Well, hello and welcome to the playoff preview on LUTV, a special show looking ahead to the two legs against Derby County. The playoff semi-final is almost upon us, and this Saturday evening Leeds United will head to Derby County to take on the Rams for a place at Wembley before returning, of course, to Elland Road on Wednesday. Joining us for this special show are two former Leeds United players who've had plenty of experience of nerve-jangling games over their careers. It's Ben Parker and Tony Dorigo. How are you, gents?
Good. Nervous.
Yeah, but nervous, but I guess with a sense of excitement, because we've had a couple of weeks now to kind of get ourselves mentally geared up for the fact that it's going to be a playoff campaign, and the players likewise. So I kind of sense disappointment, but it's turned into a lot of excitement and positivity, really, based on the season.
Yeah, and it needed to, and I think the gap between the great disappointment, of course, of that Wigan game and then the subsequent games has been a big enough one, I think, to turn it around, absolutely. I thought the response against Villa was really positive, but yeah, now it's so much at stake still. It's there to go and grasp it, and Sheffield United have gone up, Norwich have gone up. We can do exactly the same, so the season could be still exactly what we want it to be.
Yeah, we all wish the playoffs didn't exist and it was the top three going up, Ben, but they do exist, and for the Leeds players it's a second chance, and that's how they've got to view it, haven't they?
That's what they've been looking to do, trying to not rectify the mistakes, but like Tony said, it's another opportunity, and it's still in our hands. If we win 3 games of football, we go up, and everyone seems to say the best way, if you can handpick a way to go up, is via the playoffs, promotion at Wembley. So we've got it all in our hands. The 2 fantastic games against Derby County, going to be real energetic atmospheres, and as a player you want to play in these type of games in these environments.
In some respects it had to be Derby, your former club, Tony, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? It just has to be another dimension added to the game. It was not spicy enough. You look at both semi-finals are great games, they really are, and what it means to all of those sides. So 4 really big teams are going for it, and you're right, it had to be Derby for us, and let's see who in the final. I'm already there.
Already there. Well, that's how you've got to think, that's how you've got to believe. And Ben, you've had experience, of course, in the playoffs here yourself. Cast your mind back to those. What was the kind of build-up to those like in League One?
We was confident going into them. We had a belief, we had a togetherness in the squad, similar to what I see in this type of squad. Players that get on well, not too many bad egos at all, everyone pushing in the same direction, the fans excited about the occasions. Unfortunately, we came up on the night where we just didn't quite get over the line in that semi-final, but people who were there on that night still speak about the atmosphere. And I think the atmosphere and the fans have got a major part to play in this, because we've seen this season, haven't we, Tony? They've been our 12th man. Especially Derby at home, another example in the league. They were great that night, wasn't they?
They were. It's interesting. I did a BBC interview for Radio Derby. And even the guy
that was interesting.
Well, it was interesting. I had to, we and them, and I got all confused actually. But what was important though was even the actual interviewer said, do you think Elland Road, the crowd, could be the difference in that second leg? They already know, what it could mean. So I think the atmosphere is going to be intense. The crowd here are unbelievable, and it will give the team a big lift, absolutely.
Well, we've seen it this week, haven't we, in the Champions League at Anfield. I mean, if that game wasn't at Anfield, you wouldn't have given Liverpool a chance, would you?
No, absolutely. And the belief in the crowd and the players, and they respond to it. It has to work both ways as well. The team need to give the fans something. Fans need to give the team something, but if we start quickly, these fans will just ignite, and then who knows what can happen.
Well, the players, of course, will have a major confidence boost in the fact that when they've taken on Derby County both times this season, they've picked up 6 points, they've scored 6 goals, they've only conceded 1. Let's just cast our mind back to the opening away game of the season, wasn't it? And this was a real marker laid down, wasn't it, gents, at the start of the season? Because Derby, promotion contenders at the start of the campaign, but we absolutely ripped them to pieces.
It's crazy to think this was the second game of the season. We were just speaking about this before we came on here, wasn't we? Tony? Casting his mind back seems such a long time ago, and it was almost like the experienced guy in Bielsa coming against the new pretender in Lampard. There was a big thing made about it at the time. And we turned up, and the performance we put in, one of the best performances over the course of a season. Historically, it's always been difficult going to Derby County, but the way we moved the ball around, the way we played with freedom, you can see the man there, Kamar Roof, he kind of epitomised what we was about early part of that season, and what we've gone to see throughout the rest of the year. Full of confidence, getting himself in the right space, in the right positions, and we've got players around to find him out with passes, and just have the confidence just to take things on. Like this goal here, a little touch around Richard Keogh, smashes it into the roof of the net, no pun intended. But these type of things as players, don't you? you pick up on these, don't you, when you go into big occasions?
You do, and I think what's interesting is at the start of this season, you look at the games we played, Stoke City, I'm thinking, you know what, if we can get a draw, we'll be absolutely delighted. We go and beat them. We go to Derby, and you're thinking, this is a good side, can we get enough of the ball? Well, we dominated. We beat them comfortably, we scored plenty of goals, and then you're thinking, hold it a sec, what a start we've got here. The players have bought in to Bielsa's methods straight from the off, and the style that we're playing, I've not seen Ellen Road for many a year, and then you start to think, we could actually do rather well this season. So I think those two results, and especially that one there away from home as well, was a big one.
You wonder, I mean, touching on what you both said there, if we hadn't have started as well as we had, then you wonder where the season could have gone. I mean, the starts are crucial, but it was the way we were sweeping aside some of the contenders right at the start of the campaign, weren't we?
It gives you full of confidence because it's been well documented how tough the pre-season was, the regimes that they were going through. And sometimes as players, you come into the start of the season, you don't know what to expect yourself. And all of a sudden, like you say, you get a fantastic opening day win against Stoke, followed up by Derby County away. Two really, really tough fixtures. On paper, like when the fixture list came out, you're thinking, tough start is this. But then to get 6 out of 6, it just gives you so much confidence and it makes you buy into what's been given to you throughout pre-season, taking forward.
I think that's the important thing, isn't it? I think when you get a new manager, coming in, a lot of them have their own ideas. But I think when Bielsa came in, he had something vastly different to anyone else. These players hadn't seen anyone like Bielsa. So you're thinking, whoa, is this going to work? With Championship here, how can we play like this? So you get a result against Stoke, you get a result against Derby. You must be thinking, I tell you what, we are in here. I want to be in this team. I want to keep playing. I feel great. I'm fit. Let's go. But you're right. That's what starts it all. I think it's the initial results to give that confidence for liftoff.
And I still remember actually seeing Frank Lampard's face as he walked in for the press conference after. I mean, absolutely shell-shocked, I think, by what he'd kind of seen. It was a real kind of welcome to the Championship result for him. How much of a fact, because a lot of the players were being asked in the build-up to these games, the previous matches, do they bear any impact whatsoever? I mean, do you as players sort of take into account the fact that you've played so well against them, beaten them? So I suppose Frank Lampard will say they don't count, and Marcelo Bielsa will be going, look at what you did against them.
The same.
Depends what side you are on.
I remember that. If I made a few mistakes, I have no recollection of that whatsoever. I think, listen, Leeds will take a lot. Of course we will. We played really well, especially the second leg. I thought the second game, was outstanding, where we managed the whole 90 minutes. But I think we'll take a lot into it. Frank, of course, will say complete opposite. We're in good form now. We weren't so good then. We're a lot better side. They'll go and play and think like that.
Yeah, well, let's remind ourselves of the game then at Ellen Road between the two sides. And of course, there was a lot of build-up to this game for all kinds of reasons. But this again was one of the best performances of the season. And typical, Ben, of what Leeds have done in these so-called big games, or certainly against the teams in and around the top end of the table.
It epitomises what this group of players are about, what the staff are about, what the club's been about these last 12 months, a real togetherness. Yeah, a lot of things have been made off the pitch, but it's on the pitch that counts. This is where you get judged. And what Tony was saying there, the way they're putting a performance, not just for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, it was a full 90 plus minutes, however long the game went on for. It was just a real energy. And I've never seen the Derby County side last probably a couple of years because they like to get the ball, like to play a similar way to how we do. They was camped in their own half. They didn't have an idea how to break us down, idea how to get outside the box on the transitions, on the turnovers. And that's just testament how we played on that evening. And you're right, these games in the playoffs, if you've got a little 1-2% in your mind from throughout the season, can be all the difference.
Yeah, and again, that was 2-0 going on maybe 3, 4 and 5. The performance, it was completely dominant.
You're right, absolutely dominant. And that was, for me, that was a huge surprise because in the pressure games, it's more of a mental than a physical thing. And how do you then respond? I thought mentally we were flipping superb. I know how good we are. I know how good this team is, but mentally, can they produce it at the right time? That's always the importance of playing at the highest level. Is can you produce it when it's needed? And this game was one of those, wasn't it? Where the pressure was on and it was needed. And I tell you what, Leeds played. We played fantastically well. We suffocated them. That's how they couldn't get the ball. They had no space in midfield, and in the end, they gave up closing us down, and they just sat back. I couldn't believe it. Mason Mount didn't get any of the ball. They tried to find him. He couldn't. He just retreated 5 yards and think, I ain't going to get it.
No.
Which for 90 minutes. Normally the other side has a 5-10 minute spell, 20 minute spell. We gave them nothing.
Literally not a kick.
Yeah, brilliant.
This is where I almost don't believe the stats, because we've combined the statistics from both the home and away games. I mean, all that really matters is the goals, because it's pretty convincing. But when you look at it there, it doesn't look to be sort of a vast sort of gap between the two sides. Double the amount of shots on target. As always, Leeds sort of dominate possession, but that pass success rate was obviously key in the game, wasn't it, in both matches? But those stats don't necessarily tell the full story. I don't think.
It tells a lot of the story. 50% more
Yeah.
possession. You know, that's a huge amount. You know, you're chasing the ball. I tell you, if you're chasing the ball for that amount of time, you'll soon know about it. So no, I think those stats are really impressive for us.
What was key also, that's not on their turnovers. The amount of turnovers we had, every time if we lost possession, we won it back. I don't know what the stat would be. I reckon it'd be within 5 seconds. And Derby didn't have a breather. They couldn't get out. They didn't have an out ball. Mentioned Mason Mount there, one of their key players, been called into the England squad this season as well. So that shows what capabilities he's got. Didn't have a kick, just because we was on the front foot. We were camped in their half, both home and away. So it just goes to show how well we did in those two games over the course of 180 minutes against Derby.
I think just looking at those stats as well, just one thing I'd like to point out, with 32 shots, we got 12 on target against Derby. I'd love to have that ratio again, because I think that's where we have been letting ourselves down. You know, absolutely. But yeah, that's again, you know, twice the amount that they've had.
Well, we'll look at some key battles then in all departments of the pitch. And first up, a couple of centre-backs as well, kind of the leaders for both sides here, Ben. You've picked out Liam Cooper and Richard Keogh. I mean, both sets of fans will say obviously hugely important to their teams and sort of making a tick. But also kind of starting off attacks, really, because we know Liam Cooper's had a fantastic season. But Richard Keogh's been a mainstay, hasn't he, at Derby for so long?
Two captains of the clubs, been in the positions for a while. And you think about being a centre-half, being a captain, you're heading, you're tackling, that comes natural to these guys. But with Liam Cooper this year, he's added a bit of composure, a bit of quality into his play. We all know how we like to play, style from the keeper, play out to two centre-halves. And Liam Cooper's been so calm and collective in possession. Just little occasions here, you might not see it, but he starts the tacks off. And I've been surprised watching the goals back throughout the course of the season. He's always kind of involved, and we see it here. We're passing it around the back four. It goes out to the left back into Alioski. We tried to play it forward into the midfield area. Look, it breaks down, but who was the first person to win it back? Liam Cooper is on the front foot, win the possession, keeps it simple, and keeps us in our rhythm. So there's not too many times where we do give the ball away. We're searching for it back. We're under cosh. Again, stepping in front. And as a defender, when you see your centre-half doing that, so it gives you so much confidence.
Yeah, no, it really does. And I think what's interesting with Cooper is that if I was an opposition's manager, I would say actually leave him with the ball earlier in the season. I tell you what, you don't leave him with the ball now, because that lovely ball from left to right, you know, right wing, he picks that one out for fun at times, and he's a leader. And Keogh, you know, is exactly the same. I think Keogh is probably more vocal. I think Cooper, by what he does out on the pitch, but I tell you what, some of the last-ditch challenges, the way he reads the game, yeah, I think you can do worse than follow his lead. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and as a player that has improved, he's certainly up there with Calvin Phillips for me this season.
Yeah, well, here's the combined head-to-head stats then for Liam Cooper and Andy Keogh, and as you can see there, I mean, Keogh's been an ever-present in the league this season, but you look at those tackles, and that interceptions is probably key. It goes on to what you talk about there, Ben, about the defenders across the back foot, playing on the front foot, anticipating the play, and taking that gamble, because it is a gamble, isn't it? You step out of position to try and win the ball, you lose it, you're exposed, aren't you?
Of course you are, and you've got to be brave, you've got to trust your ability, you've got to trust your back four. If someone's stepping out, you've got to trust each other. That if I go out on my position, my other three defenders there to get me out of trouble, just in case I don't make it for whatever reason. But these stats for Liam Cooper just shows what a fantastic season he's had. He's had a massive influence on this squad. I know the players love him to bits. We like him as well. He's great when he speaks to us guys. And with Keogh, the couple of clips we've just seen there with him, it's good to kind of isolate him, drag him out of his position. Kamaru's done it in both those games there, so get the ball into the right positions. We've got players who can pick a pass, pick a bit of movement out, and try and drag him out, because I think defensively he does switch off at times.
Defences are obviously going to be key, aren't they, Tony? I mean, you know, the teams have got so much attacking sort of flair, but I suppose it's how cautious either team is with their approach to the game, and how much they rely on that defensive sort of stability that they both had.
Yeah, I think you always need defensive, reliability. I think it's concentration. You've got some good defences there. They know what they're doing. They've played together now all season, but it's not making mistakes. And I think recently, certainly, we've made a few individual, errors which have cost us, and you have to get that out of your game and work, as a unit and push forward. So I'd rather it not be a mistake that certainly, probably picks who wins and who loses. It's more a good play, but I think we've got to make sure we just don't make mistakes. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about a couple of key midfielders as well, and a lot of buzz and talk around Derby this season of young Mason Mount, of course, been involved with the England team this season, and he has, of course, played extremely well, been a key player for them, but a player at the opposite end of his career, but still producing the goods, is Pablo Hernandez. So these two, Ben, are two players really that kind of make each side tick from an attacking point of view. Lots of sort of energy, lots of quality in the final third.
Yeah, you're right. It's good to look at these two players, both at opposite end of the kind of the timeline, the timescale of the careers. But in a guy like Pablo Hernandez, is arguably been the standout player in the Championship for me this year. The way he leads, for example, again, not vocal, but in terms of performances. And as a player, when he plays well, you want to play well. You don't want to let him down. And these little clips from both the games, it just gets into the right position. It's hard to pick him up. He's out on the right-hand side. We know he likes to drift into the middle, he likes to link up the play. This is just taking a set piece. We know he's got the quality from a dead ball situation also. And like I said, he's a player that, if I was playing in the same team as Pablo, I want to play well with him. He has that effect on you.
It's interesting, the contrast, really, I suppose, between the two, Tony. The vibrancy of someone like a Mason Mount. His whole career sort of ahead of him, and he's won lots of plaudits. But Pablo Hernandez arguably he is one of the players of the year in the Championship this season.
Yeah, and I think when you've got Mason Mount, you've got energy, you've got speed, along with that ability. But Hernandez now, certainly, he's lost that bit of acceleration, but he's got all that experience and class. And I think he reads the game fantastically well. He's got quality in the last third. It's vital that he now, can produce, because when he hasn't been playing, I think we've lacked something, absolutely. But when he does play and when he's on it, he looks fantastic for us. We've
looked at him at many times this season. There was a period a couple of months ago where he really came to the fore. A lot of comparisons with Gordon Strachan, Tony, that of course you play with, in terms of maybe dragging the team through games, maybe in a different kind of way, but still, showing that quality. I mean, directly involved there in 24 goals this season. It's somehow, but he is going to be a key player for us over these next two games.
He is. I think if he performs to what he can do this season, I think we've got a great chance. Simple as that. I think everyone works around him really well. They link up play, but it's only because he can read the game so well and makes others play better, and that's always important. And you talk about Strachan, same thing. We had little ginger guy on the right wing. I tell you what, he was fantastic. Cajoling us, making us play, giving us confidence, and just that guile out there on the pitch. Someone who's been there, seen it, and done it, and gone through a different phase of his career. And that's what Hernandez is going through. Yeah. Yes, he's played at the highest level, but I tell you what, if he can get Leeds promoted, this will be, I'm sure, one of the best achievement, because you can tell he's really revelling in his football at the moment.
Yeah, and he's discussed that. And by no means am I trying to write Pablo Hernandez off like he's only got 6 months left of his career. But by that point of view, these chances don't come along very often. 2 games away from Wembley. So for him, the chance to kind of pull Leeds United back to the Premier League, it's a huge incentive.
Well, we saw what it meant to him down at Brentford away after the final whistle there.
That was a worry, actually, wasn't it? The crying.
I like that, Tony. It shows that he cares. It shows that, you're right, this might be the biggest moment of his career if he gets promoted with us. And you think about what he's achieved in his career, it's some achievement if he can do that and put it at the top of all those. So, look, in these type of games, we know they're going to be tight. There might be kind of cagey affairs, might separate the two teams. But a player like Pablo, he can unlock a door in the big occasions, and you just want your big players to step up in these type of matches.
Okay, well, let's look at a bit of the firepower then from both sides as well. Kemar Roofe is back and itching to get going as well and pick up where he left off earlier this season before, because injuries curtailed his campaign a little bit. And also for Derby, one of their talismanic strikers is Martin Wycon, who's popped up with some important goals this season. Again, these two players, Ben, very different in terms of their approach and how they play the game, but both equally important to each side, aren't they?
I thought Kemar were excellent these 2 games. He led the line really, really well. Look, he's been out of the team due to injury the last few weeks, but I thought it was massive to get him just 90 minutes under his belt against Ipswich, because we're going to need him now for these next 3 games, hopefully, because he's going to lead the line. He's going to be a thorn in the side. He works hard off the ball, but this is what he's done to this season, to his game. He's added goals. He gets a goal out of nothing there, like I say, just twists and turns in the box, smashes it into the back of the net, and that's what you want your number 9 to do. You want your number 9 to get your goals. His ratio is basically 1 in 2 which is a fantastic return. And who knows where we might have ended up if he's played a full season. With him and Patrick Bamford both fit, we haven't had that luxury at all this season. It's either been one or other. But what we do have in Kamar is got a great memory of playing Derby County this season. Jack Clark does wonderfully well out this way. But this is a difficult finish. There's so many people who snatch at those types of chances, but he makes that run across the near post, just gets a little glance on it, and it's a great finish.
For Roof, back at the perfect moment, of course, with Bamford's suspension, Tony. But one thing I'm always impressed with Roof is it's the manner of goals that he gets. I think he's equally good in the air. He's got a great spring. He's going to be a problem for defenders from that point of view. But as we saw with his goal, where he twisted and turned and smashes it top corner, he's nimble with his feet.
Yeah, he's got some ability. He's got confidence as well, which I like. I think you have to have certain arrogance about you. I see when he's playing well, that's what he's got. I think this season he's improved tremendously. Wasn't sure last season at all where his best position was. He's gone up top, and I tell you what, the strength that he's certainly improved upon. The way he holds the ball up is incredible. You're right, he's tested and I suppose judged on goals, and he has done fantastically well. Real shame that he got injured, when he did, because he was absolutely on fire, wasn't he? He was playing really, really well.
He'd have been 20 plus goals, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he would do. You look at the other strikers of the sides that have gone up and what they've got. Well, we haven't had a fit striker for the whole season. That's been our kind of issue. But Roof would have been that man, absolutely. So I think you're right. It's important he got those 90 minutes under his belt. He's had more and more game time now. I think the scene is set for Kamar to produce again.
And for Waghorn, Ben, how do we deal with him?
Like we have done over the course of this season. He's one of those annoying strikers, doesn't give you a minute's rest, but you come up against these strikers throughout the season in the Championship, but don't give him a sniff. He can take a chance. He's proved it when he was up in Rangers, got quite a few goals for those up there. So it's one of these guys, you got to keep lids on him, but if we play on top of our game, don't worry about him, because like we mentioned, Liam Cooper there, Pontus Jansson at side of him as well, the back four, keep it tight at the back. Big players step up to these big occasions, and I firmly believe this season if we keep a clean sheet, we're going to win football matches, because we always create chances, we're always going to score goals more often than not. So it's a key to keep his quiet, his work rate. But like we did at Ellen Road, we didn't give him a sniff. He wasn't able to get involved in the game because we were camped in their half.
Talk about big occasions then. Let's look at a particular statistic I think that will warm all our hearts as well ahead of these playoff campaigns. We know they're kind of one-off matches and everything else, but Leeds' record, Ben, against the other teams in the playoffs, in terms of a mini sort of league table, that is pretty dominant, isn't it? And we all know when we look back at the season, people have been picking through the bones of it, what's cost us has been the games against the so-called lesser sides, or certainly the teams we would have expected to beat. What has not hurt us this season is our record against the rest of the top six, in particular those playoff teams. Derby's record, not good at all, Tony. So do you take a lot of heart from that in the way that Leeds have played in these kind of matches?
I do, but I also look back to the recent 4 games that we played, and I thought, Wigan, my goodness, how we did that to a side that only won 7 points away from home, but we did. Brentford, there we go. Villa, really good side, and I thought that was our best performance. We showed our resolve, and this table here says exactly that. I think you do. I think when you talk about playing against the better sides, it becomes a mental process for me, and I think mentally that just shows how strong we can be. But we'll be up for it. It's a huge, important game, and in those games we've performed really well.
I suppose some of this doesn't actually matter, Ben, because it's a huge game, isn't it? I mean, whichever way you look at it, both these, a two-legged semi-final with a chance to be at Wembley for a place in the Premier League. It doesn't really, it doesn't matter who you were playing against. It's a huge occasion.
It's like we just said previous, where if you're on the right side of it, you're looking to. If you're not, you don't bother with it. But these games, the little fine margins matter loads. So if you can gain an advantage by looking what you've done against your rivals, take it, because it might prove to be the all-important thing where you just need that little bit more belief, just that little bit more edge coming into a fixture like this, where the two teams very, very even, both got exceptional players, the fan bases are decent, so it's going to be all about who performs well on the day, who can handle the pressure, and who can step up and deliver that winning moment when it's most needed. And
do we pretty much know the team, gents? I mean, Tyler Roberts has been ruled out, Janssen a little bit of a not, but he expects to be fit, so Roof, Harrison and Andes, that midfield three then of Click, Forshaw and Phillips and Dallas at left back, is that pretty much it?
Yeah. That's all we've got. Well, look, one or two little changes, but no, I think that's it. Simple as that. Listen, we'd like to have certain players fit and raring to go, but they're not. So we just got to get on with what we've got. And Derby, looking at their last few, they seem pretty resolute in their 11s as well. But we've got enough. I think that the confidence is there. I think that the players that go out there have got to a level this season that Derby haven't reached, absolutely. But it's putting it together on the night, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
100%.
Now it's preparation, know what you're doing, be clear in what you're trying to do, get as fit as you can, and then get out there and enjoy it. Because it's exciting, isn't it? The players, that's what you want. And everyone's talking about these big games, but God, I'd rather play in those games than down the bottom, just scrapping away to try and stay up. This is what it's all
100%.
about. So, if this doesn't excite you, nothing will. You talk about fitness levels, forget that.
Yeah, it's all out the window now,
all out
isn't
the
it?
window. It doesn't matter. One of these games, I could run for 240 minutes. It doesn't matter. You keep going. Simple as that. So that's fine. But it's just, I think, getting a sense of, normality in that we've got to do the same things. You don't have to do anything different in playoff games. You just don't make mistakes. You still pass the ball. You still beat your opponent. It's the same thing. Whether you're playing in a World Cup, whether you're playing in League Division 2, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And I think that's important as well. Because sometimes, certainly for us, the fans can, it can be up or down or what have you. Players need to keep a very level head. And I'm sure Bielsa will have all this covered, as he has done throughout the season, and go out there and enjoy it. You know how you enjoy it?
I think you win. And I think as Howard Wilkinson told you in the running, trust your swing, don't you? I mean, you trust what you've been doing all season.
And don't do anything different.
Yeah.
You don't suddenly put in a little twirl at the top. You go boom and you hit through that ball. So, trust your swing. And I think the way they've played, where they've kept the ball, they trust themselves, don't they? They certainly have a lot of belief there.
Yeah, I have a deep mistrust in my swing, for sure, after a few years of
it,
playing.
you
Yeah, I
should
know,
do,
it's not
wouldn't
good. Ben, what's the approach then? Because this is a two-legged game. Does Marcelo Bielsa in any way change his approach, knowing, of course, we're going to Derby first, and then with the home game at Ellen Road? Do you approach it in any sort of different way? Or will he go out to win at Derby?
I don't think Bielsa knows any other way, to be honest. I just think he knows one way only. And that's what we all love about him, we love about this group of players, is because, rightly or wrongly, we go about every game in the same manner against a team down at the bottom, a team at the top, in the middle. It doesn't matter who we're playing. And I don't think it's going to change just because it's the first leg of a playoff. I think he firmly believes his way is the best way. We talk about having plan Bs, plan Cs. He's never had that. It's always plan A. If plan A is not working, work better or work harder to make plan A work. And it stood us in good stead all season. So why change now? So it's over to the players. Look, you've got to be up for these occasions. It's not saying be up for it. Be up for it in the right way, where you're not too hyped up, you're not too eager, and like you were saying there, Tony, have that level-headedness, that coolness, that calmness, because you'll trust your ability. They've all got ability. It's about performing under pressure now. I
mean, I agree with you, but will there be a slight sense of caution knowing that you've got that return game at Ellen Road? You don't have to win it on Saturday night, do you? I mean, I'm not saying you have to win the game. You want to win the game, but what I mean is the tie's not over on Saturday night.
No, I agree, but I don't think Leeds play with caution. I don't think we play with caution. We try and play the same way.
I don't think it suits us, though, to do
that. Well, we want to get the ball, we want to keep it, we want to move it quickly through the thirds, and we want to get opportunities and chances. So I think that's been the beauty of us away from home. We fantastic performances away from home. How can we go to places and dominate as we have done? Because we play the way we do. What we don't do is first 10 minutes just whack it forward to try and quieten the crowd. We don't do that. How do we quieten the crowd? We keep the ball. We keep the ball. We keep the ball. So that's a different way of doing it. It's slightly alien to you and me, I think, when we played, but that's how we do it, and it's been successful. So you do exactly the same thing.
Okay, just a word on the other tie as well, and I know all focus is on Leeds Derby, but Villa against West Brom, it's pretty mouth-watering as well, isn't it, that one?
It is. I've played in that derby as well a few times, and it is a huge game. When you look at the team still involved as well, all of them would say, you know what, we belong in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they? Yeah. Because the facilities, the structure, the fans, everything is there. And West Brom Villa are another two, absolutely. And for me, obviously, I would lean towards Villa in that one. But yeah, it's a huge game and another really tasty prospect.
It certainly is. What are your thoughts on that one, Ben?
I think both sets of games is where none of the teams involved are looking too far ahead to firmly concentrate on the opponent in front, because due to the quality, four big clubs, four clubs who could all have got an argument of being in the Premier League. So as a neutral, these two playoff games that have been thrown up, fantastic viewing. Just a bit more nerve-wracking for us guys being involved with Leeds, but it's an exciting occasion. I can't wait for Saturday. Particularly can't wait for Wednesday, the second leg at Ellen Road. It's going to be buzzing. It's going to be bouncing. So bring it on.
Cannot wait. Score predictions then, gents. We'll just do Saturday first and foremost. What do we think?
Ooh, Tom.
That's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we'll score. I think they will. I think probably a draw.
Okay. Score draw.
Bring them back here.
Okay. Ben?
I think we're going to go 2-1. go there. I think like right, both teams score, but I just think these occasions we've stepped up all season, and we've got a great memory of going to Derby this season. So I fancy it's 2-1.
Good stuff, gents. Plenty of excitement here in the LUTV studio as well. And there should be, as well, as Leeds United prepare for the playoff semi-final against Derby County. You can follow all the action on LUTV as well. You can get your match pass at the website leedsunited.com for audio commentary, and of course all the build-up and reaction on the official Leeds United app and website. But gents, thank you very much for joining us for the playoffs.
Cheers.
Enjoy them.
We will try.
We hope we all will, of course, as Leeds United take on Derby in the playoffs on Saturday.